I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier. You mentioned that you worked in sales in some capacity. We don't often talk about technology and how there's an impact to sales or how you can participate in the sales cycle. So I'm curious what you're doing in that capacity.
Absolutely. Well, I would say nowadays I am the target of sales. So let me talk about my prior role, and then I'll come back to how I deal with this process now. In the sales aspect, what goes on when people are selling products. Usually, we're talking technology. There's a person who is a sales rep, and the sales representative is, sometimes what you would think of in terms of salesperson. They're going out, they're shaking hands, they're playing golf with people, they're taking people out for lunch. The sales rep's job is to get you to be aware of their company. Now, once you get past that first level of awareness of the product that they're selling, then they bring in somebody called a sales engineer, or you can hear different terms for it. But essentially, this is a detail person, because the sales rep generally doesn't know that at a detail level the technology that they're dealing with. So I was a sales engineer, meaning that I would then come in and I would sit down and talk to a prospective client. Now, a lot of times in government, and again, I was selling to government, there's a very formal process for buying, which involves paperwork called a request for proposals, an RFP. So the RFP would be written and it would be sent to us, and then we would have to write a proposal based on the request for proposals. So a lot of my time from the sales perspective was spent responding to these questionnaires and telling them how our software could meet their needs. And then the other aspect was the actual demonstration. And get this, in my case, when we were selling these were multi-million-dollar projects. So the sales demonstrations would go on for days. It would literally be 4 days from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. of this group of people watching you run through scenarios in the software based on what they've asked you to show them. And, as we all know with technology, as we're experiencing on this call, things go wrong. So there's a lot of time that's spent preparing and scripting to make sure that we, have as few mistakes as possible during the 4 days of demonstrations. So that was, to a certain extent, what I did for several years. And at the same time that I was doing some of the sales work, I was also, as I mentioned, doing the product work. And the two of them complemented each other so well, because by being out in front and talking to clients, I could hear what the clients wanted, and then I could bring that knowledge back to the product team. And by being on the product team, I knew about the new features and functions in the software, and I could bring that and talk to the sales people. So that was my role in sales. It was an interesting and very different type of work. I would encourage anybody who has the opportunity, like let's say you're working for a company and you have the opportunity to be involved in some of the sales aspects. It's a great way to learn about another part of our business. Being able to step out in front and talk to people meaningfully and clearly about technology is a skill. And like anything else, you learn it through practice. And there are very few ways that I can think of that are better than, making that technology pitch. Gets you to the point where you can explain technology to a person who's not deeply into it. That's a real powerful skill that honestly helps me on a day-to-day level in my current job, because needless to say, most of the time that I'm working in the city government, I'm working not with IT people, I'm working with everybody else besides IT to understand what they need or talk to them about things. And so the ability to translate tech speak into human speak is a very critical skill.
If you enjoyed today's content, be sure to subscribe. Your support helps ensure that we can continue to bring you great technology professionals who are passionate about helping you become a great tech pro who is in high demand.